Not because it was uniquely mine. It's just the right thing to do.
Right.
You're seeing that on a bigger scale at Zuffa, which is great work, which is 50-50 out there gear bangers. But people, Zuffa are allowed to work. They're great people over there, and they're making some great fights, and I think it's great for boxing. It's great for US boxing because US boxing needs that. But Zuffa, what they're doing is really, really good stuff, and I really enjoy. I stay up and watch Zuffa fights till 4 in the morning over here. So,
Yeah. So
what's
so
that saying about the product?
so you think they're going to be a long-term player in the boxing game, Zuffa?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are because they're doing it the right way. They've got a really good infrastructure, good people around them, room to grow. I don't think they're going to try and reinvent the wheel like everyone's trying to say they are. They're just doing they're just doing the obvious. Like, I don't agree with some of the stuff, but like the sponsorship stuff, I don't agree with. But that's not my problem. They don't care if I don't agree with it or not. I'm not that relevant. But I think that some of the stuff that but the philosophy on boxing is what American boxing is crying out for on a platform where it's consistent, it's well funded. There's no the consistency is the biggest thing, and that's where Top Rank have always had consistency, and that's why they've always been around. But
Yeah.
you've got to have consistent quality, consistent developments, not doing favors because you like certain managers, not making fights because you're pally with certain trainers, making the wrong fights. You've got to do what's best, and therefore you've got to have the funding to pay the fighters what they're worth, to do what's best, and prove that that system works. That's what Zuffa are going to do, in my opinion. I think it's great business, great for the sport.
Do you think because a lot of people in the boxing industry and boxing fans are concerned that fighters are going to get screwed over by Zuffa Boxing? What do you make of that whole narrative?
It's too early to tell. It's really too early to tell. But I know a lot of the people over there, and they're good people, man. So I don't feel like I've had fighters under contract with them on my last show.
Mm-hmm.
I have fighters under contract with them. They're available to me on other shows if I want to. They're open for business. Do you know what I mean? So how can a fighter be getting screwed over when the promoter's open for business elsewhere? It's not. It doesn't really make that much sense. Is there going to be a spending cap? I don't know. But they're obviously closely affiliated with Riyadh season and the super fight market. So I like of a Jai Oppatai is going to be he's not going to be there if he's going to get screwed over, is he? Let's be honest. So, he's going to have like we've just had Chris Smith versus Floyd Masson ordered for an IBF final eliminator, and we'll hopefully get that made. And then I'd like Chris Smith to fight Jai Oppatai next.
Yeah,
After that
was a fight that they were trying to make late last year.
Yeah. Well, that's something that could happen this year. And so for someone like Jai Oppatai, their team's gonna have to work with Boxer, who represent Chris Smith. So in that sense, that's a really that's something that prevents a fighter from being robbed. It's only if they owned Golden Boy Top Rank. Don't even think PBC is that even still a thing. But like what they do is they do what I do in Pakistan. They just run a few pay-per-view shows a year. That's it. I don't even do pay-per-view, but they just do that on a bigger scale. They're not a promotional company. They just run events now.
Mm-hmm.
But Top Rank Golden Boy, if they and obviously Dimitri's still doing stuff on the zone, which is good. Dimitri Salita. But if they got those stables and conglomerarized them all, then there would be a way where you could go, they could get screwed over or something like that. But I don't feel like it's realistic because there's always another place to play.
Correct.
You looked at the Xander undercard the other day, and that was pathetic. That was pathetic. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm real as fuck. If they know who I am, if they don't like me, phone me. I don't care. But it wasn't good enough. I wouldn't do that. Do you know what I mean?
You kind of
And that's no disrespect to Top Rank, by the way. Top Rank are the greatest promoters of all time. But
correct.
that undercard was pathetic. It was terrible. That I did. You expect better from Top Rank. You do. So, for me, I was disappointed. And fortunately, the main event was a good fight. Abbas Barou's a great fighter. Xander is a superstar, and he's been brought on nicely. He's been brought on perfectly. So, I'm not, like I said, I want to reiterate, I'm not attacking Top Rank as a whole, but I'm attacking that undercard. It was terrible.
Correct.
It's not good enough.
It wasn't to the standard.
It wasn't to the standard. Yeah, it wasn't to the standard. Like, you can make a 6-round fight. Ergol Elise versus Will Howe was a 6-round heavyweight banger. Okay. I fought tooth and nail for that to go on the main broadcast on BBC. My dad knows zero about boxing, doesn't care, right? Not interested.
Yeah.
And I went, did you watch the show? And he goes, yeah, them heavyweights were fun. Because on a national audience or a multinational audience, like people who have Paramount, people who've got Paramount are not just buying Paramount for Zuffa Boxing.
Correct.
They're buying Paramount because they have Paramount. They see boxing, oh, watch that. Then they see Hot Rod versus Vosdik in a banger. I tried to make that 18 months ago. Got told it wasn't worth the money. Almighty. Anyway, so Robert Merriweather couldn't fight either. Another one. Anyway, so, countless fucking fumbles there, which that company should be where Zuffa is. On the other hand, great matchmaking. So when you turn that TV on as a new viewer to boxing, you turn that on and you're looking at it and you're going, oh, I become a fan of Vosdik. I become a fan of Hot Rod. I become a fan of Radzav Butayev because you're on a bigger audience.
You want to see him again.
Exactly. You want to see all of them, whether they win or they lose. You want to see these kids fight again. And that's what Ergol Elise, on a smaller scale, that is the way to matchmake, where you make a common viewer interested in the individual in the ring, and therefore individual in the sport, interested in the sport of boxing as a whole, because you've just brought entertainment to it.
Correct.
Whilst also developing the fighter at a level where you are threading the needle on whether or not they will make it as a fighter. Do you know what I mean? Will Howe was 5-1, coming off a great win against Bomber Brown, who was a prospect with Frank Warren, fought 6-0. If Ergol Elise didn't come through Will Howe, he's not going anywhere. That's the reality. But you've got to thread the needle on. Top Rank. Full credit to them, are the best at it. They've been doing it for years, pushing you. Perfect example, Damien Sosa against Xander Zayas. Damien Sosa, good fighter, had him on Pro Box. Good fighter. Got a good win on Pro Box.
Yep.
But if Xander didn't, he would come to fight against Xander. It wasn't the best fight because Sosa took a few, couldn't get near Xander and just survived. But if you can dominate a Damien Sosa, you're right there. You know what you've got then. And that's the art of matchmaking.
Correct. You have to understand the levels of boxing.
Yeah, you've got to understand levels, and you've not got to buy into. When I look at a fighter, I'm not emotional. I don't care. Like, I can separate emotion from matchmaking, and that's where you become good. That's why I think I'm one of the best out there. And let's face facts. I'm only one of the best out there because there's not that many good ones. But Zuffa,
everybody in the chat, man. I see your comments. I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm letting Chris talk because Chris, me and Chris haven't talked in a while, and Chris has a lot to say. But get your guys' comments, and I'll get to them eventually.
And if anyone's giving me shit, go fuck yourself because I can't see them.
I'll read a couple of them to you. You got one guy said, "Who wants to fight in Pakistan and the UK?"
People who want money. Well, the UK is the hotbed. UK's got 3 promoters with TV deals, one being a terrestrial TV deal. You've got your biggest promoter in the UK, in the US, who is streaming fights on YouTube. On TV. Probably doing a bit better. Pakistan, who wants to fight? Fighters who can't fight in the US because there's no money in the market.
Yeah.
So that's why, because they're coming over to Pakistan, fighting on a multinational platform, making some money, and that win can propel them onto bigger fights back in the US or in the UK.
And that goes back to what I said. Like Chris did his first show in Pakistan, and he had Lawrence Newton, a fighter that I've known for years, so going back all the way back to 2017. He can't get fights. Like he hasn't had a career. Pete Dobson, Raza Hamza.
Pete's gonna fight in the UK soon as well, because there's no fights for him. Peter Dobson's fighting in the UK in March.
Oh,
so what? So these boxing experts, obviously they mustn't know that much, because where's the boxing market that they're embedded in isn't operating the way it should be.
Yeah, there's no dates.
Anyway, look at this. Chris Glover from Jack Grealish.
The Jack Grealish. That's amazing.
The Jack Grealish, yeah. Wow. Left me tickets. And that might be that's he's out for the season, so that's terrible. But yeah, listen, educational purposes only. At the end of the day, if people want to come with the sarky comments, I'll just bite you down, because I know more. Yeah, it's my job.
It's literally all
my job. I don't do nothing else. Like, you say what you want about the British market and the standard of the fighters, right? And I used to hear this: British fighters are frauds. British fighters are built up. Well, Joe Calzaghe wasn't. Ricky Hatton wasn't. But the fact of the matter is, the Americans have to take a very long, hard look at themselves and saying, why are we allowed to build up these fighters, generate a revenue, when we're selling out arenas? We're doing 90,000 for Eubank, for Tyson Fury. We did 80,000 for Froch. You're doing 60,000 for Eubank and Ben twice over, once in the middle of the winter. If American boxing is so good, why aren't you doing it?
I'm with you. I mean, I love, obviously, you know the talent in America. There's plenty of talent, but the infrastructure has been broken for decades upon decades now.
Exactly, and I think Zuffa will build out of that UFC Apex and start building into things. But that is what they're doing from how they're building it as a model. It's perfect what they're doing, to be honest. And also, it's not just our country. You go to Russia and you see what RCC do. They put on bangers over there, mate. They're filling out venues. Germany, Agit Kabayel just filled out a venue in Germany.
Japan,
Naoya Inoue filled out the Tokyo Dome. So there's 3 hotbeds. And then you've got smaller countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Pakistan, emerging countries who are investing money so they can do the same as well. And that's what Americans think, that they're entitled to this. So maybe they should reassess their viewpoints on how they're approaching the industry, because it's obviously not working.
You got Top Rank on Tubi, and to your point about Japan, I mean, I was there when Naoya Inoue fought Yi Jun Kim, who's not a big name. He's not a massive name in the sport.
Yeah.
And he sold out the Ariake Arena, which is a pretty big arena.
Exactly. And Junto and Nishida, I was at that fight, is one of the best fights that I've actually been at. And I've been at the Garden for Loma and Linares and people like that. So, it's boxing is not just in America, and anyone who thinks it is stupid, to be honest. Even Canada, what Eye of the Tiger do up there eclipses what most of American promoters are doing right now.
Yeah. One of the comments says, Chris, we aren't entitled. We are the biggest market in the world.
Well, you're not, because you couldn't sell out a phone box and no one wants to watch you on TV.
I mean, it took Terrence Crawford years to get into a real box.
But an amazing fighter.
He's a great fighter. He's one of the all-time greats.
So why aren't you generating revenues? You need to generate the revenue and the consistent revenue. We can put things on pay-per-view multiple times a year. That's why Brandon Figueroa just came to the UK.
Correct.
Because what the fuck was he up to before that?